Hey everybody, welcome back. I am Tom, the Sunday Dinner Chef. Today, we are going to be roasting bones. Let's cook.
The Sunday Dinner Chef will make you feel fine. Sit down, let's have a drink and enjoy the show.
Okay, today what we're going to be doing is I have a pan here of beef bones. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get these ready, get them prepped up to go into the oven. We're going to roast them. We're going to make some nice beef stock, maybe depending on the time, because this might take a day or so for this to really cook down and get the all the nutrients and stuff that I want out of these bones. Now, back in the day, we used to make these probably twice a week. Okay, we would use like a 200 quart big stock pot, and I mean a whole bunch of different things that we would put into it. So, but just for my home use, all right, I'm going to be using some. I'm going to use some tomato paste. This is really good stuff right here. Okay, it's from Italy. It's a product of Italy, and also I'm also going to be cubing up some beef to put in here, because you want that beefy flavor, and you need the meat. You need to get that that flavor from the meat, plus the marrow from the bones. It's going to give you that nice collagen. Now, on top of that, I'm going to be making some garlic confit. All right. Now, confit means cooked in its own fat, but also you can do the garlic in oil. Now, I'm going to be using some olive oil because I'm not just going to bring it up to a boil and let it simmer until they're fork tender. And this is great for different spreads, for different types of cooks that I'm going to use for over the winter. So that's going to be really good to do today. Also, I'm making for today's dinner, I am making cream of mushroom soup. Okay, let's get after it. Yeah. Okay. So I got this meat that I cut up. I was going to use this for pepper steak and stuff like that, but it's perfect because it is not too much fat in there, virtually no fat in there. But I want to get that beef flavor from it, and this is also going to help, with the roasting to get that deep flavor. So it is semi-frozen, and I'm going to just cube it up, no rhyme or reason to it, and this is going to go in. I'm going to cube it a little bit more, because the bottom line is this is going to cook down to the point where it's almost going to disintegrate. Okay, what we have here is these beef bones. Now, I showed you before, but you can look in here and you can actually see the marrow. Okay, that's what we want. We want this to slow roast. Okay, we want to get that flavor out of there. We want this all to brown up and nice. And what's going to help this is, what I should say, is the tomato paste. So I'm just going to drop a few in here. I'm going to put more tomato paste into the bowl, trying different angles for everybody, and I'm going to drop some more tomato paste on top. I'm going to put that in here for now. And like I said, this is really good stuff right here. It is a product of Italy. It's got a great flavor. I'm gonna drop some more on to these bones, and this is going to add to the flavor. Now, when you're doing this, do not use any salt, okay? Because it's going to concentrate, and the worst thing in the world is to make a big stock, okay, and have it too salty. So you don't want that. Okay, so we got some of that on there. Just going to dump them bones back in, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the cubed up beef. That's going to go in this bowl. Let me open up this container again. Just going to add a little bit more tomato paste to it. Spin it around. Now, what's going to go in here is I'm going to chop up an onion. Ooh, get back here. I'm going to chop up an onion. I got a carrot that's going to go in. And that is going to be, also I'm going to be putting in a tomato. So, let me move these bones back onto the stove for a minute. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to cube up a tomato. Now I got these the other day when we went shopping. And they were 98 cents a pound. I mean, can't go wrong. You know what, I'm just going to cube it. Now, normally, this would be a, like I said, 200 quart pot we would use. And this would cook for a couple days. Just to get it all roasted up nice. And then we would put it into a big stock pot, like I just said. And that would go for a couple more days. Put that in there. If you like what you see, you can buy me a coffee. I'll leave a link in the description down below. It really helps out to support the channel. Thank you in advance.
Thinking back long ago, making soups from stocks I cooked low and slow. Start from scratch, worked all alone. I miss those days. Roasting bones, roasting bones in my mind is an art. Most people add powders to their carts. No time to cook, you see. Too busy binge watching TV. Roasting bones will change your mind. Once you make it, you will do it all time. Roasting bones, roasting bones, roasting bones.
In this pot right here, I have it's a 1 quart pot, so I have probably a cup and a half of olive oil. Okay, so what I'm going to be doing with this olive oil here is I'm going to bring it up to temperature. I don't want it to boil yet, but I want to get it to a boil and then shut it down. I'm not deep frying this, is what I'm trying to tell you, is I'm taking the garlic, okay, and I'm just going to dump the garlic in. Naturally, don't want to cooperate. And I just want to put enough garlic in here so that it is covered. Okay, let me go a few more. Let me stir this around a little bit. Now, confit means cooked in its own fat. So, obviously, garlic doesn't have its own fat. So what we're going to do is we're going to cook it in the olive oil. And we want to bring this to where it is just fork tender. Now, I use this, later on I can smash some of it up, use that same oil from when I'm cooking, if I do any kind of chicken dish or like a franchise or something like that. It's always good to have on hand. Now, you can keep this up probably for 2.5 weeks, okay? Here's where people go wrong with this. Okay, they take garlic and they put it in raw olive oil. Okay, that is the worst thing that you can do because garlic actually has a lot of bacteria in it. And so what you're doing is you're transferring the bacteria into that oil, and you can get severely stomach pains and stuff like that. So it's not a good idea to do that. If you want to do this right here, cook it. Cook it in its oil, and you can use that. You can keep it in the refrigerator. I like to keep it in the refrigerator because I don't trust just leaving it out like that. Even though it is all cooked, nothing wrong with it. So, right here now you can start seeing it to bubble just a little bit. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to lower the heat down on it. I don't want to add nothing else to it. Okay, this is just going to be cooked garlic in olive oil. That's basically what it is. It's not an infusion, nothing like that. So you got to be real careful if you're going to do that. If you're doing it the same, in other words, if you take garlic, crush it, put it in olive oil, stir it around, and then use it on a salad, you're fine with that. That's good. And then discard the rest, because what's going to happen is the bacteria grows rapidly with garlic. Okay, so I lowered it down, and as you can see, it is still going. Whenever you're cooking with oil, please be very careful with this, especially if you're deep frying something like that. Make sure you always, before you drop anything into when you're frying, shut the gas off. Okay, make sure that there's no gas running. This way it doesn't fall over and we have a fire. Safety first, especially cooking at home. Okay, so I got this on low, medium to low. It is bubbling. We're going to try to keep it to where it's not frying. So, okay, now this is up to a rolling boil, and what I did was I shut the gas off. Okay, I don't want the temperature to get to the point where it's going to fry. That's the last thing you want with this. And if you have never tried this, and if you're a garlic lover, you need to really give it a try, because you know what? It has a great flavor. It'll enhance anything, even if you make garlic bread. This is great to mash it down with a fork, mash it down, and you can spread this on garlic bread. I'm telling you what, it's fantastic. Okay, I'm going to keep an eye on it. Okay, I'm going to cut up the mushrooms, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to take them this way. Okay, cut them in half, and then I'm going to take them this way and slice them down. Half them, slice them. Now, why am I making cream of mushroom soup? Well, it's still part of the series that I'm doing is soups, stews, and sauces. That's why I'm incorporating making the stock, okay? Because I just ran out of beef stock. So I was so happy to find at this new place that we go shopping at, the bones. I mean, it was like, wow, look at this. Because I would have had to go to a butcher shop. People say, well, go to a butcher shop. Butcher shops don't cut meat anymore like they used to, okay? They buy primal cuts, and then they cut it up from there and try to make their money back, okay? After spending a ton of money on the primal cuts. Okay, so I'm going to finish cutting these up. We'll bring you right back. Just to let you know how the garlic is going, okay? I'm going to let this go a couple more minutes, okay? And then I'm going to shut it down because it's starting to get a different color. Basically, that's what we want. Okay, there it is right there. Mushrooms, that looks like a lot. But when I put this into the pot and start cooking it down, guess what? It's going to shrink up. This soup is great. Now, I know a lot of people do not like mushrooms, okay? For those who do not like mushrooms, you do not know what you're missing. This is a fantastic soup, especially on a cold day. You can take this now, make it, put it in the freezer, vacuum seal it, and just take them out in pouches and cook them up, and I'm telling you what, they stay just as good as you were going to make it fresh. All right, let's put this into the pot. All right, chopping up the garlic. This is going to go into the bottom. Oops, get back here. It's going into the bottom of the pot. Just want to get them cut up a little bit more. Okay, into the pot, I got some butter. Now I use butter in. Every butter that I buy salted. Okay, garlic going in. Got my wooden spoon. I'm just gonna take this to the level of, yeah, smell that. Oh man, butter, garlic, olive oil does not get any better. Okay. Okay. Once you start smelling the garlic, okay, so now what you want to do is you want to just stir it around a little bit. And I'm going to add in a little bit of Tommy spice. And that right there, them couple shakes right there don't even come to a quarter of a teaspoon. So, all right. In goes the mushrooms. Now we're just going to let them cook down into all the water. Now, you might look at this and say, water, what are you talking about? Well, you know what? There is moisture in there. So the longer, and you cook this out, it'll come to, you'll see a little bit more moisture in the pot itself. Let that cook down, mushrooms are done. All right, now if you want to put a little bit of, you want to brown them up a little bit more, that's fine, you can do that. But for making a soup, you want to keep these as tender as possible, because you know what? They can dry out. Okay, I'm going to let that go right now. Okay, the garlic. Let's take one here. And as you can see how fork tender that is. Okay, let me get another one. You know what? I'm going to put one on the plate. And I'm going to show you exactly. Right there. You can take that and cut it in half. That's where you want it, right there. And, of course, being the chef, guess what I got to do? I got to taste it. Perfect. Now, I'm going to leave it sit in that oil until it cools down, pour it into another container. Wow. Okay, now we're at phase 2 of cooking down the mushrooms. Now, as you can see, let me get this a little closer here. As you can see right here in the corner, let me get on this side. All of the moisture from the mushrooms are coming out. Okay, so we want that. Okay, that's what we want because that's flavor. We don't want to go too much further with it. So now what I'm going to do is normally a lot of people would make mushroom soup and they would use a chicken stock. Well, today I'm using the last of my beef stock. Give it that little bit more beefy flavor to it. And then I'm going to season it up a little bit. Let that cook down because you know what? This is almost done. Okay, I have approximately about 4 cups of my beef stock. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to pour this in there. This has nothing in it. This is just pure beef. Okay, I'm going to make sure I get everything from the bottom. Voila. Now, I'm going to let this cook down a little bit. And then we're going to add in some of the heavy cream. Probably a cup. We'll see. Maybe 3/4 of a cup or a cup, depending on how this cooks down. And man, the aromas are unbelievable. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to be putting in some different spices. I'm going to be putting in some thyme, some cumin. Also, I'm going to add a little sage to it. Give it that earthy taste. And yeah. Okay, what we have in the plate right here is a teaspoon of sage, also a teaspoon of ground rosemary, celery seed, half a teaspoon of cumin, and also a half a teaspoon of thyme. This right here is celery leaves. That is about a little more than a teaspoon. So that's going to go into the soup, and we're going to let that go. Okay, put all the spices in, and I tell you what, the aromas are really, really kicking in here. So what I want to do is I'm going to let this cook just a little bit longer. This is not a long cooking soup, that's for sure. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to add in some of the cream, but I want to let this cook down just a little bit more. Well, we just had a thunderstorm roll through Las Vegas here. Loud cracks and bangs. That's probably the 2nd or 3rd time since I've been here in 6 years. All right, so soup is the mushrooms are cooking down. And then what I'm going to do now is it's got a deep, dark, rich flavor. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a roux to help thicken it up a little bit, but I'm going to make it a little bit different. I'm going to add some of the stock to the flour, butter, and I'm going to add a little bit of heavy cream to it so it all sort of gels together. All right, let's get working. Okay, we're going to be making a roux right here, and what a roux is a thickening agent, okay? And it is flour, equal parts flour to equal parts butter, okay? So I have right there probably 2 tablespoons of butter. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take, get my little spoons out here. And you can measure it with a regular tablespoon if you want. I mean, this right here is more or less of a feel when I look at it. Now, throughout my career, I always wound up making the sauces. It never failed, and I didn't mind it. Making the soups and the gravies and the sauces for everything for that night, and it was pretty cool, but always wound up doing it. Mushrooms are simmering. Okay, now I'm gonna crank this up a little bit. I had it on before, but I wasn't quite prepared for it. So, just gonna spin this around. Now you want the butter and also the flour in here. So you want to cook the flour a little bit. You want to get the taste out of it. The flour has that. You don't want that into your sauces. So, as I melt this down, we're going to cook it up. Now, you have quite a few different stages of a roux. Okay, where we're going right there, is what would be known as a blonde roux. Okay, and in Cajun cooking, if you go a little bit deeper and don't burn it, okay, but you want to get that roasty taste, and it gets really dark in here for some of your Cajun cooking. That's where you want to take this. So, being that we're just making the soup here, I'm using this to thicken it up a little bit. So, now what I want to do right now is, I don't want to get that any further. I'm going to go to the refrigerator, and I'm going to get out some heavy cream. So, now there's a couple different types of heavy cream that you can get. Now, this is what I always use right here. I always use heavy whipping cream, and you can see right here it says 40% butter fat. That's what I like to use, and that's what I'm going to use in this today. But also, they have heavy whipping cream, okay, that is ultra pasteurized. Now, that I wouldn't use too much for cooking. I would just use this for my coffee and stuff like that, or you can make whipped cream with it. But if you're making any kind of butter or anything like that from scratch, this is what you want. You want the 40% butter fat. That's exactly what you want with it. So, why am I putting the cream in? Because it's going to all get incorporated for the creamy mushroom soup. So, just going to add a little bit. That's it. The whole idea is that you don't want your sauces to break. So, if you're making a sauce and you're using this right here, you want to put it through, get it all taken care of. Now, there is powdered heavy cream that I have used in the past for thickening. You can do that also, or you can use that with butter, and also you don't have to use so much flour. So especially if you're watching what you're doing. So now this came up a little bit more creamier, as you can see right there. Okay, got a good idea. So I'm working by myself here, folks, with the camera and cooking and everything else like that. So if I miss a little bit of it, sorry about it. I'll try to edit it out. Okay. Done. Gonna bring the soup back over, shut that burner off. So now what we have here is the soup has reduced by half. So I'm gonna solid spoon here, and I'm gonna show you exactly. Mushrooms have cooked down. We have beautiful, beautiful, beautiful soup, but we want to make this a little bit thicker. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start stirring this in. By the way, the bones are doing real well. I stirred it around a little bit. Got a little bit more to go because of the meat is not completely cooked out of it yet. So, okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some of the broth, And I'm going to put that in. Stir this around. I'm going to get all that off the bottom. Okay. Now what I'm doing is I'm infusing what I'm trying to thicken. So a lot of times you'll put the roux in and then you still have to cook it down. I don't like to do that. Put that thickener in there. And here we go. This joker is hot. I'm just going to put half of it for now. I'm going to switch up to a whisk. Well, if things could go my way, I'd be a millionaire, you know that? Alright, let's move in here a little bit better. Okay, I'm going to just start. Get the heat on low to simmer. I'm just going to bring this all together. Okay, so I added more of the soup in here, and I'm going to get all that goodness off the bottom of this pan here. I don't like to waste anything. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to, you know, let me get sorry for my arm. I'm going to take my spatula here and I'm going to scrape out all that roux. So this all means that it's all going to work together. So, beautiful. Let me just stir this up here. I'm going to let this go a little bit longer. Okay, it has thickened up to just about where I want it to be. You don't want this overly thick, but you want it to not to be too thin. Let's put it that way. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to gradually add in heavy cream. You want to give this a good shake. Make sure you get everything together because it can separate. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a little bit at a time. I don't want to put too much in. Put that over there. You want to get this to a nice beige color, okay? Wow. I know I say it all the time, but I tell you what, the aromas are like really, really good. So I would think about a cup of heavy cream will be fine. You don't want to overdo it. Now when this cream cooks right here, it also will thicken it up a little bit. Now, unlike the canned stuff, you know, whatever other ingredients they have put in there, stabilizers and stuff, this is straightforward. Mushrooms, butter, beef stock. It can also be made with chicken stock. Now we put a light blonde roux in here to sort of thicken it up. And we also have the heavy cream that I added. Now that way I made the roux, okay? That over years learning how to do it. I would make a big batch of roux and keep it up on the shelf where I was cooking with, you know, sauteing and stuff like that, and we'd use that all night long. So after a while working with it, you get to become pretty good at making it, and this way you stay consistent with it. Okay, you know what? I'm going to let this go a couple more minutes, and we're going to plate this. Turn it up on a little higher. Well, I tell you what, with that oven going on, it is hot in here. So, the garlic confit is done. It's in the jar. It's still a little warm, so I'm going to leave the top off it and leave it off to the side. And there it is with the oil, olive oil. Don't drop it. And there is my garlic. Now, I love garlic, as you know, and this is great to use with different stuff. Now, for instance, if you're cooking green beans and stuff like that, and say you just saute them up real quick and put these in there nice and soft, I tell you what, fantastic. Now, so we got the confit done. Now the soup is finished. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is it's nice and thick to my liking. Now if it gets too thick on you, what you can do is just add a little bit of water and keep stirring it around. But I like this consistency right here. Okay, so we're gonna plate this up, and then we're gonna talk about my roasting bones. Okay, what we're gonna do now is, into the bottom of this bowl right here, I'm gonna do a little chef's secret here. This is what I used to like to do for myself, and this is great for if you're an adult. Sherry wine. I'm gonna take some sherry wine, and I'm just gonna add just a little bit to the bottom, just to cover the bottom of the bowl. And then I'm gonna take the ladle, move it around a little bit. Now, this is fairly thick, and it's the way I want it. And it's so hot that I'm going to just add it right in. I'm going to put one more scoop in here. Sloppy. Okay, now what I'm going to do is before I stir it around, I'm going to take another spoon here and just, oh man, I tell you, the aromas, I always say that, but I tell you, it is fantastic. This brings me back so many times back to getting ready for a night's service, and before we would get ready to get going, we'd sit down and everybody would sit down and have something to eat, something, okay? And this would be my go-to, any soups and stuff that I made. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to just put a little bit of celery leaf. Now this is dried, fresh dried celery leaves. Okay, here we go. I'm going to give this a try. Stir it around. Screaming hot. All right, we're gonna dig this out of the oven. It's been like an hour and a half to 2 hours. Yeah, baby. And this is exactly what we want. Let me zoom in on here. Okay, so I'm going to shut the oven off. Let me get my little scraper here. So what we did was we built up, I got some oil on the bottom that came from the beef. Okay, also, let me get my tongs out so you can see exactly what I'm talking about. So here's the bones right here that were roasted. Okay, so it's got a nice nice glaze on it. I mean, from the tomato paste. Okay. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to let this cool just a little bit so I can handle it. And I'm going to take all this stuff out of here, and it's going to go into my stock pot. Okay. So, and then what we're going to do is I'm going to put it on, fill it up with some water, and we're going to let this go. I'm going to put everything that's in this pan right here, it's going to go into that stock pot. Okay, so I'm going to start transferring this over. Now, as you can see right here with this one, with the marrow bone, marrow come out and it's mixed in with the other the vegetables I put in there and some of the other beef. This is what we want. So I'm going to put everything in, put the bones in first. Now in a restaurant we have to have a ladder. So some of the guys that worked in a restaurant, okay, well the preppers, so they can climb up and get into putting the stuff in these big 200 quart pots. And actually we cooked that for a couple days. Okay, so I'm just going to put all this stuff in here. Once I get it all in there, I'm going to show you the next move. I get this on here, and I'm just going to add in some tap water to get some of that goodness off the bottom. I'm just going to hang on to this a little bit right here. I'm going to let that cook a little bit. Okay, so right now I have the water in here, and I got most of the fond off it. So what you want to do now is you want to give it a taste, okay, to make sure, because there was some burnt spots on here, and that's you can't avoid that. So I'm just going to pick it up a little bit here. Now you got to taste it. Now I get the beef. I don't taste anything burnt, which is what I'm looking for. Okay, trying to get most of the fond off the bottom, And I think we accomplished that. Now at this point, if there's anything that is really dark or burnt looking, leave it be. Okay, because that can make or break your stock if you have that burnt taste in there. Now, I taste all the vegetables and there is no seasoning in here whatsoever. And you know what? We're gonna leave it that way until just about to the end. Okay, I'm going to take the stock right now, actually the broth that I took from the bottom of the pan. And what we're going to do is we're going to put it in here. Now that gives you that deep, dark beef stock is what I want. I'll put that pan over there. And I might say the dishwasher will be very happy with me. It's pretty clean, so not too much to clean there. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to move the stock pot over here a little bit closer, and I'm going to turn it up. All right. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to add in some water. I want to make sure I cover everything. Okay, so I'm going to bring it up to here, and I'm going to take that and put that on a simmer, and this is going to go through the night until tomorrow morning. Now, I might get up and shut it down a little bit, just to be on the safe side. And then what I'll do is in the morning, I'll crank it back up again and just let that go. I want to get this is going to be concentrated to the point where I get everything out of the bones, I get everything out of the vegetables that I put in there, and then we're going to proceed to make the stock. Okay, so right now at this point right here, I got everything covered. I'm always taste it, always make sure. This way you can understand where it is going. Okay, if you go through all this aggravation of making this and you come to find out that it has a burnt taste, the whole thing is shot. It's not good. Okay, there again, I get the onion, I get the beef, I get the tomato. Okay, all the ingredients that we put in there, really good. Again, I'll taste it again. All right, now we want to drag all that marrow out. And we want to make sure that it slow cooks. Like I said, I'm going to bring it up to a boil, and then I'm going to put it, I guess tell my grandson, CP time, night night. Okay, we're back looking at this right here. It is doing wonderful. So I'm going to cook this up probably to about midnight tonight. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to shut it down, let it cool a little bit, and then possibly tomorrow I will take everything out of it. And we'll just put it down, cook it down a little bit. I'm going to take some of it out of here, and with maybe a quart or so, I'm going to make some demi-glaze with it. Okay, so good night, beef broth. Okay, good morning. It is the next day, and what I did was I got up super early in the morning, and we put this back on again and cooked another 2 hours. The whole idea is when you're making these bones like this, when you're roasting bones, you want it to slow simmer for 5 hours or more, especially a small batch like this. Now, like I said, back in the day, 200 quart pot, it would go for a day or two. All right. So what we're going to do now is we're going to separate. We're going to take the bones and all of the vegetables. I'm not going to use them again because they're spent. Any flavor that's in them, they're gone. Let's get going. Okay. As you can see right here, there it is. Okay, and I'm going to pull up some of stuff just to show you. Okay. Now there it is. Okay, whatever meat or gelatinous substance are on there from the bone marrow and stuff, and a little bit of fat. There it is. So what we're going to do is I'm going to take this, and I'm going to be scooping it into another bowl. Okay, it's pretty cool. That can go into this plastic bowl here for now, or I can actually put it into the stainless bowl. But what I'm going to do is I think I'm going to put it into the stainless bowl for now. So let's get moving. All right, so now this is fairly simple. So what we're going to do is I'm just going to dig into it and just let it drain. Okay. And then I'm going to put it into there for a little bit. Just make sure all of it, whatever in there, any impurities and stuff like that, stay in the sieve. Oh, look at these bones. I mean, everything is pretty much done. Put this one. Now, for $7.20, okay, all these bones and stuff in here. You can still see some of the marrow in here, okay? That's gone. Now, if you want, you could eat that. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put them into another garbage bag, because I'm not going to use these no more. Okay, I got what I wanted out of it. I got it out of there. Let me just finish this up. Okay, now very carefully, I want to double strain it, so I got a fine mesh, okay, to go on top here. And what I want to do now is very easily pour it in, just to catch any of the other residuals. Now, do I want to do this with a cheesecloth or anything like that? No, not really, because I got one more process I got to put this through. So for all them bones, that I had, okay, probably come out with maybe 2 quarts, 3 quarts, and that's just fine. So there you have it right there. Take them out of here. Take this big pot. We don't need the big pot no more. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to work with this. I'm going to let this cool a little bit. Then it's going to go into another bowl, into the refrigerator. I want all the fat to rise to the top. I can take that fat off. Now, I save that fat also because I cook with it. And then what I'll do is later on I will make a demi-glaze. I'll show you that in another video, and how I use this and the demi-glaze. Okay, so this is cooling down nicely, and what I'm going to want is to get this to the point where it's pretty thick. I mean, this is going to work well with any kind of gravies or any kind of applications that I want to use this for. Now, you got to understand, this is bland, okay? This is a stock. It is not a finished dish, okay? That comes after. What we'll do is we'll use this to make a dish. That's the one priority of making this, is multi-uses that you can use this for. Now, what we'll do is we will take this Tupperware, okay? And once it's cool and we get the fat off it, we'll put this in the Tupperware. And then this will go into the freezer. I'll make it into a block, and then either cut them up, okay? And then they go into the storage bags, the vacuum seal bags, and into the freezer. This will probably last me, I tell you what, probably 6 months or more to get through the winter with it. And then also, like I said, I'm going to make a demi-glaze out of here. And that's going to go through the same process. Okay, put it in there. Now, what I use a demi-glaze for is if you're making a sauce, okay, or you're making, it's nice and silky. What happens is, this right here still has a lot of water in it, okay? So what we want to do is we want to cook it down to the point where we extract all the water from it, all right? And then it becomes a nice creamy, I call it beef ice cream. It is nice and thin. I mean, nice and thick. Okay, and you can use it on different small gravies and stuff like that to finish a nice dish. Okay. Well, everybody, I hope that you got something out of this. Just to show you how to do this. It is a process, but in the beginning, you'll cut up your vegetables, get your bones ready, put it in, but the stove does the rest, okay? You can just almost set it and forget it. Check it every once in a while, and it works out well. So, roasting bones, can't go wrong. And I tell you one thing, thank you for watching. Hit that like and subscribe, and I'll see you next Sunday on the Sunday Dinner Chef. Stay safe, everybody.